Hello, everybody. I'm Tom Landon from Blue Ridge PBS in Roanoke, Virginia, and so glad to be joined for the second time by Calypso Gilstrap, who is an instructional technology specialist with the Virginia Department of Education. And in this context, she is especially helpful when it comes to all things Go Open VA. In our last video, we talked about exploring Go Open VA, how you get your account and how you use it and how you integrate it into your digital classroom. But today we want to go a step farther and talk about creating. Once you've got your account, how do you become a contributing member of Go Open VA? So Calypso, again, thank you for joining me again. And so first of all, before we get into it, just tell me a little bit about what it means to be a creator on Go Open VA.
Well, that's what's the difference between OER and maybe just having your curriculum in your own division. We don't want to just be users, we want to be contributors. And there's no minimum quality. Of course, we want to have high quality lessons. We have high quality teaching going on in Virginia and we want to show off. But you don't want to just be like a taker of information and never contribute. So we really need you to take, even if it's just one lesson a year, your best stuff. Maybe as a contributing team, think about what your professional learning community is. If you take a lesson, we'd love for you to contribute back, even if it's just remixing something that you used. We have these great providers, but who we need providing more is our classroom teachers. So it's cool that NASA's giving us stuff, but I need to see how is that NASA lesson being used in an 8th grade earth science class?
Great. And it's also just about, you don't have to be an amazing video producer or, credible graphics person. A lot of these lessons are pretty simple and straightforward and just explaining how you might use another resource in your course. So let's talk about one of the things that makes OER great is the fact that it is open to all. So what is the condition of use if somebody wants to use these resources or create resources?
So that's really the big difference between free resources, public domain resources, and open resources is that Creative Commons license. And I know sometimes we're like, well, I don't know, that scares me, licensing, copyright, it scares me. But what's nice is we have a nice graphic on the website that shows you in our help center, this is what all those things mean. It's also, as you use Go Open, make sure you're paying attention to that condition of use so that when you start contributing, you really understand what all of those different creative licenses are. Most of our users are using the BYSA, which means if you add or change something to the work, that you can share it, but I still want contribution. So if I make a Google Sheet Scrum board for my students to use when they're doing group work, that's fine, absolutely fine that you use it and you change it and you make it your own. You just still need to contribute that Calypso Gilstrap originally owned the Scrum board resource. And that's easy to do when you're creating in Go Open if you're using that remix feature, because it's going to attach it to the original author. And also it's going to notify me as the original author that you remixed the work. So that's our most common license. You can go anything from public domain, which public domain means I created it and I don't care what you do with it. And I don't care if you contribute me as the original author. I'm giving up all my rights, all the way down to you can use the work, but you can't change it at all. Now, of course, we want you to do open, so we don't want you to restrict resources. And we never, ever, ever want you to put somebody else's work on to Go Open VA without explicit permission from that person, because it's not your right to be able to put their stuff on to Go Open VA, even if it's free or in the public domain.
Yeah, I know when we create things at Blue Ridge PBS for use that we definitely want to share on Go Open because we are a public television station. We like people to know who created something. We're fine with you using it however you like. We would just want a little attribution. Please let us, please, just say this is where this came from. So I think that's cool. That's a cool feature that allows you to get the credit, but also to still support the spirit of open resources, which is please use this.
Exactly.
When something is submitted, after that, what's the process before it becomes something that's available? And I know there's something called an achieve quality review, and I don't know what that is at all. So
Okay. So before you start contributing, we would recommend that you maybe evaluate a few of our open educational resources with the Achieve rubric. So if you are signed in, you can go to any resource, and on the right-hand side of the navigation, there's going to be a tool that says evaluation tool or evaluate a resource. And you're going to click on that and it's going to open up a rubric. And it's just going to help you realize what a high quality content is, because that's the problem with open educational resources is I'm the administrator of the account, but like you said, it's not mine. It's not BDOE's. We are not putting things in there. Instead, we're just kind of like the secretary for Go Open VA, making sure users can connect the resources, cleaning up things that maybe have outdated, we get broken links, those kind of things, but we are never evaluating this resource is not high enough quality. Instead, we just depend on the users to do it. Kind of like the same way Wikipedia has false information. We kind of expect the users to be able to point out, hey, that's not accurate, we need to flag it, and then the community will correct the information. So that's what the Achieve evaluation tool is for, is that there's 4 areas of design that we're looking for, is we want to make sure that, is it good instruction? Does it meet our Virginia standards of learning? Remember that we're not just putting things on there because, oh, this was a fun activity. We need to actually have it aligned with a standard. And so that's step number 1. Step 2 is it content that's accurate? Is it adequate? Is it appropriate? And so that's when we deselect or deaccession things, it's usually because things have become outdated. So we just deaccessioned a lot of the COVID protocols from March of 2020. Those are not really relevant. We don't want to have our users get bogged down by that information because it's not adequate anymore for what we do with COVID. The next thing we're looking for is the technology aspect. Is this something our users are able to use, or is it going to be like a product that's going to cost money? Is it going to be something that, super cool if you have a Glowforge in your school, but that's a $20,000 device, and maybe this lesson isn't appropriate to share, or maybe can you come up with different ways to share this so that it doesn't cost a school district a lot of money? And also, is it in some kind of document that people might not have a program to read, or those kind of things? And then the last thing is the design. Does it look good? Are there spelling errors? That last step that the English teachers always, harping everybody on is like, does it look nice when you put it up? And is it worthy of sharing with other teachers? So you're going to go in and you're going to look at other people's stuff and you're going to evaluate it and give feedback to that user. It's not public. You can't like publicly shame that person. It's just going to go to them and say like, hey, I noticed you had maybe some spelling errors in your worksheet. Could you maybe update those and those kind of things? So the evaluation tool is nice. If you don't have time to do the full Achieve evaluation, which does take like 20 minutes to really dig into a lesson, you can also just star it. So if you used it in your class and your kids loved it, give it 5 stars. If a broken link is in there, give it 1 star and be like, hey, we need to fix this, or those kind of things. Another thing you can do is you can comment. If you have a question or something's inaccurate, it's very appropriate for you to say, hey, this link is broken. Can you update it? And that's a great way to get evaluation, and also helps our users find better information faster.
Fantastic. A phrase that I hear you use a lot is remix, and I think of a DJ and sort of.
That's exactly what it is.
So what does it mean when you remix a resource?
So the VMFA has these awesome art lessons on their provider page. And they are our most remixed lessons. And that's basically allows our users to find the lesson from VMFA, which are super high quality and great.
Virginia Museum of Fine Arts, right?
Yes, the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts in Richmond. Sorry, I should have used that. They have all these great resources about art, but they're kind of designed for maybe high school students. And so what our teachers are doing is they're like, I love this lesson, but I want to make it more 3rd grade appropriate. So they take that lesson, they pull it into their own account, they edit it, maybe change the vocabulary a little bit, maybe make some of the artwork a little more 3rd grade appropriate versus 10th grade appropriate, those kind of things. They might even take pictures out or add pictures that they like better from the VMFA, those kind of things. And then they republish it so that everyone in Go Open can benefit from it.
That's great. And you don't have to wear your headphones and, be managing your
you can though. We totally would encourage that.
How do you add content? How do you add your own OER?
So there's 2 ways to do it. Our favorite way is for you to use the open author tool. So open author is basically a template for you to add any lesson. We especially would anything with that's in Google Drive already or in a Office 365. So easy to add it in there. So you have your Google Drive, you open it, you click, I want to connect this document or this module or this video or whatever it is, and then you're going to put in a description, add the alignment of these standards, tag the lesson with anything you want to have, and it's published. Super easy. There is a second way to add things, and when you click add OER, it does have a link. You can submit something from the web, but we really don't like that because that just takes our users outside of the OER. It's fine if you have something that's super applicable to a lesson and you're like, I want to share, like for instance, PBS and Blue Ridge might have some really cool resources, and I just want to direct our users in general to that website and has some good alignments. But what's better is, can I get a resource that's inside of Go Open, because then I can remix it.
Right, and that saves if a link goes dead or if somebody else, something somebody else has done, you don't know that it's always going to be there. It's also a way just to safely store it.
Yeah, I'll say a lot of the times our dead links are links that are broken are because a teacher decided just to add a Google Doc instead of going through Go Open. They just submitted a link from the web, and then they changed districts, or their web address is changed, or they don't work at that school division anymore, and all of that stuff is lost. Where if they had just gone to open author and added the Google Doc that way, then it lives inside of Go Open, and then if you move or the link gets broken, it's not going to go away because it lives inside of our resources. And you can tell when you're looking at a resource how much better it looks and go in the open author tool than if you just submit something from the web.
All right, so big takeaways. Just make sure that if you are taking that next step to become a creator on Go Open VA, use the open author tool if you can, because
and also make sure it meets the achieve rubric too when you're as you're designing. And I think just between this becoming a user and also a contributor, make it a habit where it's the new year, we're making new resolutions, and just like I just had a post-it note that said make sure every time I was in a PLC we at least looked at Go Open before we started planning to see if there was something already in there, and then after we made this super awesome thing, we made sure we put it back into Go Open because we want to be contributors, not just users.
All right, well, great. Well, thanks so much again for explaining some more about Go Open VA, and we'll move on to our next topic in our next video, which is collaboration. So
that's right. We're going to be friends.
That's right. All right. Thanks, Calypso.
Bye.